think about love and our capacity for love and our capacity for caring, insofar as those are different, and in how far they are different is, yeah, a big question. I think we have, again, it really ties in with what we understand as our, you know, what love is within a kind of an ontology of love that does make it a scarce quantity. And that is, again, because everything is tied deeply into capitalism, of undermining the capacity we have to care for one another, like on a human level, on a societal level. It's a wonderful and a precious part of my life that I'm able to do this work with such a commitment to whimsy and magic and playfulness, and that in our relationship and in the relationship we have in our work and to our work, that playfulness is such a central part of that, and a sort of a non-negotiable part of that, to hold that along with all of the seriousness of what we're doing and the responsibilities that we have to our work and to each other and to ourselves, is the exercise of doing that in your life. And I think it feels like a beautiful exercise and antidote to the idea of separating off parts of your life that are meant to be serious and professional, and, you know, and the parts of yourself that you're meant to be in order to occupy those spaces, which somehow, you know, forecloses or excludes the possibility of playfulness in these very important and very sort of time-consuming parts of your life. And to find ways to be playful and to really, you know, explore and embrace and seek out whimsy alongside the responsibility and the heavy parts of our lives, the parts that are challenging, and to not feel like these are mutually like exclusive or, you know, different things that need to be traded off against one another, is the work that we do. You know, I think it's the work that we do of being adult children. There are definitely times where I am stressed. You know, there are things, you know, things go beyond my ability to be, you know, to feel like they're within like my hands, you know. I really recognize the feeling of stress in myself. I recognize the feeling like that physiologically, the effect it has. And when I feel like there's just more stress than I can deal with. And like pragmatically, how I deal with it sometimes is to just have a meltdown. To shut myself in a bit, and to really, you know, I'm not sure that my ability, like what it looks like for me coping with stress, it might be similar to how it was in times in my life where I felt much less able to deal with that, or when I was just much less well than I feel now. And the difference is this sense of, the kind of the meta softness, the softness that I have with myself about when I feel hard, the softness that I have with myself when I'm not coping, and that this is an opportunity for compassion and a kindness that it's like it's easy to feel, no, it's not easy to feel, but I recognize my self-love in times when I'm well, you know. I really recognize my self-love as an indicator, like the things that I do for myself, the things that I would do like willingly for other people, but I do for myself, in going to bed without my phone, in making myself a nice meal, right? Those are like the easy litmus tests of like when I'm well, because I feel it feels easy to give myself that amount of care. And the kind of self-love that I show myself that brings me through difficult times is maybe not so visible either to myself or from the outside, but it's very much there, you know? Even if it's just a real acceptance of like, today is bad, you know, and today is a tough day. And that's all right. And I don't have to have a silver lining, you know? I don't have to have like much of a feeling of like, this is gonna get better other than knowing that it will, you know? And even that, you don't even need to know it that much, right? Or need to know what that looks like, but just that, I mean, this is a part of, this is a part of, I guess something, I don't know, not to downplay like all of the experiences and growth and healing that I've gone through, because it's a lot and it's really good and I'm proud of it and it's hard won. And also there's an aspect of just having life, you know, having experiences and knowing, and by nature of life, having hard times and knowing that you do always, you know, if you're here reflecting on it, you have come through it in some way. I don't know whether that answers the question that much, because yeah, what that actually looks like, it looks like a lot of things. And it doesn't always look kind of like, you know, it doesn't always look incredibly enlightened. But there's something in there that's that there is a real deep kind of sense of, yeah, wellness, whimsy and playfulness, and something that, yeah, good work. Good work, with like a capital W. Good work. I hope it's not like a gang sign. Wasp slurs. I experience a lot of coldness in Berlin. Berlin can be a tough city to be in, especially to be a vulnerable person or to be in a vulnerable situation. It can be tough in Berlin because there is like this, often a sense of everyone's looking after their space, and they do this understanding that no one else is going to look after their space, which then creates the situation in which no one will look after their space. And I don't think people want to not care about one another. I think that I believe that we do have an innate sense of empathy for one another. And I think a lot of painful and the situations that we see of people not caring for one another, I think can come from a sense of powerlessness and guilt around not being able to care for one another the way we would like to, you know? I don't think that anyone wants to just ignore somebody asking them for a favor or asking them for some money on the street. I think we would like to help. I think everyone would like to help. And it's the sense of like, oh, I only have so much I can give and I can't help this person, and I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel the guilt around that. And the thing that is maybe easy to do is to then ignore that person exists. And there's a softer, you know, there's a softer world where we are kinder to ourselves about what we can do, and also kinder to ourselves about how much we can do with very little. And that, I don't know whether I've gone off the topic here, but I feel there's a lot of unlearning and learning that we have to do in terms of how we can care for one another.